So you're trying to stop overthinking. Maybe you're a startup founder or you're a content creator and you've probably come across this video because you have a bunch of ideas in your head and you're not really sure what's the best decision to take. You have probably over-researched already the decisions that you're trying to make, and I want to tell you that this is something that I could not relate to more, because this is literally what has been happening for the last couple of years. You know, anytime I come up with an idea, I hesitate and I decide, you know what, let me just do a bit more research. And this was especially true with anything relating to Chopcast, the company that we're building, because I realized, okay, anytime I make a decision now, and by the way, like when I make decisions, like I usually make quick decisions, but when it comes to the company, sometimes I just overthink things because I realize that it might be it will definitely affect a lot more people than just me, obviously, right? Anything that I do myself or that I ask my team to do, it has a lot of repercussions. And these are just some of the things that I have been overthinking a lot. And ironically, this over-research and overthinking sometimes led me to not even making a decision, which is a form of decision, right? Implicitly. And so today I wanted to share with you some of the things that I have learned, and I'm not out of the woods completely yet, but I did want to share with you 4 mindset shifts that have been helping me a lot greatly. And again, this is based on an article that I've just written on the topic, so I'm actually going to be referring to it over here. First of all, this one comes from Gary Vee. I watched one of the videos where he was talking to someone and he was explaining to them, his approach towards, indecision and rather making decisions. And the best way to summarize it is to simply flip a coin, because you never truly know what one decision or another may lead to. And you may have an idea of what it might lead to in the short term, but in the long run, you can't really control, no one can control, everything that's happening. And so you never really know how a certain decision will play out. One thing that might look a lot shinier or more attractive on the outset might have a completely different turn as that decision unfolds, weeks, months, and even years later on. So ultimately, everything balances out, everything cancels out. And so you should consider flipping a coin once you are stuck between two different things. Especially if you have a gut feeling, you should just go with that gut feeling and not overthink it too much, because, and I go into a bit more detail in this in the article, once you realize that, everything will cancel out or everything has its pros and cons ultimately, you will definitely realize that you're going to be hesitating less when it comes to making those decisions. All right, the other mindset is basically thinking in terms of odds, and this comes from an awesome book called Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. And I've read a summary of this book, but basically I've gotten the gist of it. And the idea behind it is that, she says that a lot of times people think of life decisions as kind of like playing chess. You have access to, all the pieces, you can see everything very, very clearly. And there's nothing really left to luck or chance, anything. Like if you win or lose, it's purely based on a set of decisions that you've made or lack thereof. When in fact, she compares life a bit more to playing poker than playing chess, where you're playing this game of odds or this game of probabilities. What is the probability that something will work out even if I don't have all the information that I need to make that decision? So this is definitely a mindset shift that's been helping me a lot, where I no longer try and chase this proverbial like 100%, absolute truth of something, which is sometimes what I feel is what all of the over-researching is leading to, but rather to focus on pleasant probabilities, where basically, I'm in a place where 51% chance I'm gonna get something right. All right, let me say that again. Basically, I want to be in a place where 51% of the time I'm gonna be right, or it could be a lot less than that if the payoff will be a lot bigger. I could be right, for example, 1% or 10% of the time for something that's going to be a lot bigger in terms of that outcome, and I would be mentally aware that I'm gonna be wrong most of the time, but I just need to be right one time, so on and so forth. So thinking in terms of bets and probabilities as opposed to thinking of absolute truths, because I'm realizing that this doesn't really exist, at least from my own personal experiences. So the third mindset shift is something that Jeff Bezos has popularized. I think he probably coined the term for it, but basically he calls it two-way door decisions, or type 1 and type 2 decisions. And he says in a shareholder letter, which I've linked to in the article as well, that most people think of decisions as type 1 decisions. That is, decisions that are non-reversible. Once you make a decision, there's no way to go back to where you were. And the truth is, there are a lot of decisions that are like that, but most decisions are actually type 2 decisions. Decisions that are reversible. Yes, you've taken an action to do something, but you also have the means to, get that money back or change that decision or pivot, so on and so forth. And he says the biggest thing he's noticing is that a lot of times companies, and I imagine individuals as well, mistake type 1 decisions for type 2 decisions. So, many times the decisions that we overthink are things that could easily be Many times the decisions that we think of are things that could be easily reversed. And so this is the third mindset shift, basically, that you want to put yourself in situations where you can make a decision and almost try before you buy, or just do something and realize that you'll be able to change the direction as need be. The fourth mindset is the newest one for me and the one that I'm still trying to learn a bit more, but it's this notion of focusing more on your decision-making process as opposed to the final decision. And one quote that I absolutely love from arguably one of the greatest sports coaches, John Wooden, he says, "It's not whether you won or lost, it's if you played your best game." And so if you can come up, and this will probably be different for you, for me, for others, but if you can come up with a system where you're happy with your decision-making process and you understand intellectually that there is no such thing as having absolutely all the access to all the information, including how a decision might unfold, not only in the short term, but in the long term, then you will just be at peace and you will redefine success for yourself as this thing of, even though I lost, I'm happy with my decision-making quality. Or if to use a sports team analogy, even though we lost, we absolutely played the best that we can. So we're happy with that. Obviously, we're going to learn, we're going to come back, and we're going to do things better moving forward. So that's basically it. These are just 4 mindset shifts that, have been helping me a lot. I hope it helps you as well. Let me know if you have been going through overthinking or indecision as a creator or as a startup founder. I'd love to hear from you so that we can continue to learn from each other. And I'll see you in the next one.